Hi, I'm 34 years old and currently going through my third round of IVF. Last year we had 2 failed rounds of ICSI. The first round led to 1 blastocyst that was transferred day 6. I remember being really disappointed with that outcome. I had 10 eggs, 7 of which were mature enough and 3 made embryos. 1 embryo did sort of die off very soon. The second one kept going pretty much up until maybe the blastocyst stage, but only 1 made it to a blastocyst. I remember being really disappointed with that outcome, but actually it's probably the best outcome that we've had. The second round we heightened my medication, which almost led to overstimulating really. It produced much more eggs. I had 13, but we only made 2 embryos and both of them were of poor quality, so I had a 2-day transfer. So we were really prepared for that outcome and really disappointed and lost hope by that point. I'd had enough, physically, mentally, financially as well, you know. It was never going to happen for us. We had a heart-to-heart and decided that we needed to make a new fresh start, so we moved. We're currently located in Cheshire and we're really come to terms with the fact that we're going to make a new start for the 2 of us. And actually what happened was COVID-19 hit and we had far too much time to sit and think. I say we, it was me. I really hadn't come to terms with it when I had too much time to sit and think and had so many pregnancy announcements after pregnancy announcements, and just seeing social media, it can be such a good thing and yet it can be such a horrible thing when you're not in the right frame of mind, and hearing everyone saying how much they're enjoying their quality time with their family and everything. And I have the best husband in the world, but when you dream about being a mum from the time you're a toddler to literally never leaving you really, I dream about being a mum. And I hadn't given up, and we had to have that heart-to-heart and another heart-to-heart, and we decided to try and at least find out some information of if there's anything that we can do differently. Maybe learn from the past experiences, maybe a fresh start away from everything that was back home is maybe what we needed. So we went and saw a lovely doctor and he actually advised something called IMSI. Now I knew what I thought a lot about, you know, fertility treatments, but I'd never heard of IMSI. And IMSI is the same as ICSI, however they use an ultra microscope basically, so then they're only picking out the best quality sperm. So by changing my medication to a much milder medication, we weren't overstimulating my eggs, so we were trying to give ourselves quality eggs and not quantity, and then with using this microscope to then use it for the sperm, hopefully we would have an outcome of a really good couple of embryos. So on the first scan, that was the first set of tears, I only had 5 follicles. Now not every follicle might have an egg, so I prepared myself for the worst, thinking we could end up with like 1 or 2 here. However, on the day of my egg removal I had 5 eggs. So I was really, with what the outcome could have been, that was the outcome that we would need and wanted. And then we got the phone call the next day, the dreaded phone call when you go through fertility treatment of what's happened. Those 24 hours feel like forever. And we were told that we had 2 embryos. Out of the 5 eggs, 3 were of good quality, and 2 made embryos. 1 didn't work, which is a bit gutting really when you do use all of that science and everything, but we got 2 and we were given an option. So on the day of the egg transfer, they actually said, what do you want to do, because you have 2 embryos here, which aren't far between each other. It was a 3-day transfer, so on day 3 they would like to see an 8-cell embryo. One was at an 8-cell and one was at a 6. The 6 had slightly more fragmentation. There's still only just behind the 8-cell. So with a lot of thought and a lot of conversation with the embryologist, they can't really tell you what to do, but they can advise. So we did go with having the 8-cell transferred, and in the hope that the 6-cell would then make it to a blastocyst, and then we'll be able to have our frosty, which is a frozen embryo. So I've been fine. It's been a really smooth process. The medication's been quite kind. Not really found it too uncomfortable. The egg removal this time, instead of kind of having an anaesthetic, they actually do put you to sleep. So you go to sleep and you wake up and they tell you that your eggs are removed. So that was quite nice to not know what was going on really, because it was quite uncomfortable the 2 times before I was awake for, and it isn't the most pleasant experience. So here, yeah, I had a little sleep for a little while as well. So yeah, we have had that phone call now to say after the transfer what's happened to the other embryo, and the other embryo has sadly been left now. It broke my heart to hear the word perish. It is of a poor quality, so it wouldn't be right to insert it, which is such a shame, because you think it's made it to a blastocyst, it's done all that hard work, but it's just not meant to be. So where do we stand? Hopefully the good embryo is cooking away inside me right now, and we had to give it one more go. We've tried so much different, and who knows, that maybe at Christmas time we can tell our family and friends that we have an announcement to make too, but we'll find out. I don't have my test until over another week, and hopefully I'll get that far, because I've never actually got far enough to take the test. I've always bled early. So that's my journey. Fingers crossed we'll have our happy ending. So recently I came across the video that I did before the last IVF and forgot all about it. So decided to finish it. So the last embryo was put in, and we found out 2 weeks later that we were pregnant. It worked. It's a scary couple of weeks. Went and had a 7-week scan, and there was a little peanut, and there was a heartbeat, everything was fine. We had a private scan at 10.5 weeks, because we knew it was going to be around Christmas time and we wanted to tell friends and family, and nothing showed up on the 10.5 week scan, or nothing that you pay for shows up on the 10.5 week scan, and told close friends and family at Christmas time. Obviously, like, it's been a long journey, 10 years of trying, and everyone's known our journey, and it was the best Christmas I can remember in a long time. And then on New Year's Eve, at 13 weeks exactly, it showed that the baby had a high level of fluid, an NT measurement, and there was also some cysts on the neck. So because it was New Year's Day and the next day, we couldn't speak to anyone or see anyone, and then they phoned and booked us in to have another scan, and then that scan showed confirmation that it was cystic hygromas that were growing on the baby's neck, and it's highly likely that the baby was Down syndrome, or chance of Turner syndrome, or Edwards or Patau's. So we had blood tests, and I was sent off to have a CVS, which is a needle through the stomach to get the baby's placenta. and then they can take the results from that, and the results came back clear. Due to the high level of NT fluid and what they take into consideration, I was at high risk of a Down syndrome. He wasn't, and it was really hard because we sat there and we came to terms with the fact that how could we cope? Could we manage? And we kind of thought that it would be really cruel if the baby had Edwards, because the lifespan's so short. When we came to terms that it was Down syndrome, then he was still our child, and it came back all clear. It wasn't any of them. So then you had that roller coaster of emotions of, okay, everything's fine, and it's when I actually eventually started getting maternity clothes because things weren't fitting, but I didn't want to risk anything. So then, yeah, it was all systems go, and I was able to be a bit more comfortable in what I was wearing. And then we had another scan, and then that showed that he had a hole in the heart. So then there was talks that he was going to need a heart operation and probably be at Alder Hay Children's Hospital a lot. And then they discovered in another scan that he had a small chest, so it was going to be difficult for him to breathe if it was going to happen. He could die after birth. He also had two of the parts of his brain normally have fibres covering them, and he was missing the fibre. So there's lots going against, and he was fighting everything, because then when he had another scan, his hole in the heart closed. So he was doing everything he could. So they did some more tests because things still weren't showing that everything was as it should be. And in total, from New Year's Eve to when we had the results, it was 11 weeks of not knowing. And it came back that he had a mutation in his chromosome 10, which is known as Cat6b. The genetics is known as de novo. So his condition is not in my husband or myself. It was just bad luck that we don't get any luck. And we had to decide if we wanted to continue with the pregnancy or stop his heart. And it was the hardest decision ever. And we decided not to put him through any more pain. And I didn't want to do it straight away. I wanted another week to be with him and to be a mum. When you feel that baby move around in your stomach, you have a meaning in life. And in that meantime, he gave up and he died. He was born at 25 weeks, weighing 1 pound 10 ounces. He did really well. And ever since, everyone's pregnant. And it's the hardest thing. His ashes are in a teddy bear urn. He's with us and I can cuddle him whenever I want. And I keep talking to him and asking if I should give him a brother or sister, and I really want to. I just need a better miracle. So that's the end of this journey. And we need to start the next one. Yeah. That good news turned into the worst nightmare.